breaking down the deals, data, and disruption shaping global markets. You're listening to The Daily Ledger with Dennis Sert.
Hey folks, it is Friday, January 9th, 2026. You're listening to The Daily Ledger Show, and I am your host, Dennis Sert. Great to be here with you today. We're going to dive right into it with what we got today. We got a few good stories. First of all, we're going to talk about the uptick in non-farm payroll, which came out today from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, well, at first I didn't want to talk about this. It's kind of a touchy subject, just for the general public, obviously. But I saw that it was the front page of pretty much every single big headline or newspaper. So Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Financial Times, and then TechCrunch as well. And that would be X restricts Grok's image generation to paying subscribers only after drawing the world's ire. Yeah, so that's not good. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about OpenAI, essentially acqui-hiring another team called Convogo, or I guess the team behind a startup called Convogo. So that's on our docket as well. But before we get into that, let's pull up some of the macroeconomic headlines here, or not headlines, but like trends and indicators and stuff. The Dow Jones is up 0.44%. The NASDAQ is up 0.63%. The S&P 500 is up 0.50%. Looking like a green day. And Bitcoin is up 0.84%, up to 91,439. Looking good. Before we talk about our major stories today, make sure you download Byte AI Market Analysis, which is basically a financial co-pilot that tells you when you should enter and exit the stock market for any of your given stocks in your portfolio. It does it based off of technical indicator analysis like the RSI curve, Bollinger Bands, and MECD/signal curve, or how economists trade based off of math, as well as the news sentiment for that particular stock. And it's basically like an amalgamation of those two things that the AI puts together with a little bit of secret sauce, and then it tells you whether it's underbought, overbought, or neutral. So that's how it works, and make sure you download it off the App Store. I use it every morning. Of course, it's not a financial advisor, neither am I, and past success does not indicate future results, but it's a great tool. And as I said just now, I use it every day, so make sure you use it too. Okay, so the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics today basically released this employment situation summary. Looks like non-farm payroll employment went up by 50,000 jobs, I guess, which is good. Unemployment rate stayed pretty much the same at 4.4%. So from what I understand, economists were waiting for about 76,000 jobs. So it kind of was shy of that. And I think it also missed, it was a slight downturn from November's 56,000 gain. So it was still a gain, but marginally lower than November. November was 56K, and this time it was 50K of an increase in non-farm payroll. So that's kind of cool, I guess. So yeah, it talks about that here too on the New York Times. Healthcare and social assistance accounted for virtually all private sector job growth in 2025. 713K of the 733K. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so we're not going to spend too much time on this. X restricts Grok's image generation to paying subscribers only after drawing the world's ire. Yeah, so for the past 2 weeks, XAI has released an ability for Grok to like quote put bikinis on just pretty much any image. And yeah, so he's kind of done that with like himself, for instance, and he's turned that into like kind of a joke and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely caught the attention of the big like players here, Financial Times, New York Times. Um, Late Thursday, Mr. Musk's chatbot Grok limited requests for AI generated images to paid subscribers of the media site amid an outcry from, I guess, victims and regulators. Yeah, I mean, this isn't looking too good. I think they need to I think Elon, and I'm a fan of him, but you can't have this happen. It's not a good look. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Um the man who could be Apple's next CEO, John Ternus, a low profile but influential executive at Apple, could be next in line to replace the company's longtime chief executive, Tim Cook, if he steps aside. So, it's been long said for about, I think, a couple months now, since the end of October or November. Tim Cook has been rumored to be leaving Apple very soon. It was that back then it was told that he was going to leave near the end of January, early February, maybe, kind of after the holiday cycle. So, and of course, with I was kind of like a little bit surprised, but not really, to see this article in the tech section of the New York Times, because, well, here's just like a whole bunch of extra signal for that narrative, right? Um, yeah, so I was looking into who this guy is, John Ternus, and apparently, um, he's a senior vice president of hardware engineering at Apple, reporting directly to CEO Tim Cook. He leads Apple's hardware engineering teams responsible for the design and development of major products such as the iPhone, iPad, Mac, AirPods, and more. He joined Apple's product design team in 2001, has spent over 2 decades with the company. So that's kind of his background in a nutshell. Um, and then here's, to kind of insert some levity here. What's kind of funny is that, first of all, I think it's well known that the New York Times isn't exactly like pro men. I think they're kind of like against, obviously, so-called toxic masculinity, right? I'm not going to talk too much on that, but like, I think everyone knows that. And it's like, it's funny because they kind of insinuate that this guy, John Ternus, is not, for all intents and purposes, an alpha male. So near the end of this article, the New York Times quotes, I guess, some guy who knows him, I guess. They go, "He's a nice guy," Mr. Rogers said. "He's someone you'd want to hang out with. Everyone loves him because he's great. Has he made any hard decisions? No. Are there hard problems he's solved in hardware? No." So they're kind of setting him up to be like this, like milk toast kind of guy, kind of like a beta male, if you will. Doesn't look for a lot of conflict, kind of, pushes the line, right? And it's just funny to like, I can see that the New York Times intentionally has this paragraph in here and this quote to kind of like lead the reader in that direction. So I'm kind of following along the steps that the New York Times is kind of setting up for me here. But I'll even though I realize that, I'm still going to follow the steps just because I think it's kind of funny as like a segment here. But it's like, it's like on the one hand, oh, we hate toxic masculinity, and then on the other hand, it's like, oh, you shouldn't like, New York Times reader, you shouldn't like the upcoming Apple CEO because he's too much of a nice guy. It's like, okay, well, which one is it then, right? And my take on this is like, you can't be a nice guy, right? Like, I'll just briefly preface, I'm not talking about my friends and, my sort of like female companions and people I work with and stuff. Like, I'm not talking about all of that. I actually like not being liked by a lot of people. And I mean, as a principle, right? I'm not saying that that's the case, but I'm trying to explain that I like it when I'm not liked very much. It's like, and I'm kind of tying it into this point about this guy being a nice guy, everyone likes him, blah blah blah. It's like I like it more when, I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, when it's like, you walk by and it's like, it's someone, but even then it's like, it's a little bit petty, but it's like, you both make it a point not to look at each other. It's like, oh yeah, I really one upped you there. It's like, oh, what a big deal. Right. But it's like, that kind of gives me the fuel I need. And I'm not the only one with this, just not a lot of people talk about this, but it's like that kind of gives me the fuel I need to like succeed like hella. And it's like, yeah. And then you like basically compare my personality with someone like, the way that the New York Times is setting this guy up to be. Oh, he's a nice guy. He's someone you want to hang out with. Everyone loves him because he's great. Has he made any hard decisions? No. And then let's talk about that for a second. You kind of have to make hard decisions, especially if you're the boss, right? You're going to make decisions that other people aren't going to like. And it's essentially a sign of having a lot of power and respect is the fact that, people either like fear you or they don't like you. And so, my philosophy on that kind of stems from that idea a little bit. But it's like, this guy doesn't get it clearly. You know what I mean? Like if this, let me put it like this. If this was ever said about me, I would have to seriously rethink my position and be like, am I in maybe my career choices and be like, am I doing the right thing? Like, where did I go wrong? And I mean that like 100% unironically. Right. So yeah, so that's kind of my take on John Turnus. We'll have to find out more about him, right? Because again, we're I'm kind of getting my hands dirty with the exact thought process that the New York Times wants me to think in this article, but we'll have to continue monitoring, right? Okay. OpenAI to acquire the team behind executive coaching AI tool Convogo. OpenAI is kicking off the new year with yet another acquisition hire. The AI giant is acquiring the team behind Convogo, a business software platform that helps executive coaches, consultants, talent leaders, and HR teams automate and improve leadership assessments and feedback reporting. Yeah, this is cool and everything. My take on this is like, it's another all stock acquisition, right? And it's like, oh, here we go. OpenAI, like, not to dig, like, and this isn't really as a dig at OpenAI, but it's like they did a deal not too long ago, just like a month ago with Disney. It wasn't an acquisition, it was just a deal, but it was an all stock deal. It's like they're just dishing out stock left and right. Oh, you get some stock, you get some stock, and you get some stock, right? It's like, okay. And it's like, in general, if you're a startup founder, my take on this is like, I absolutely hate like all stock acquisitions just as a concept, because it's like, what have you really gained? Like, yeah, okay, you get like, I guess some, significant stock at a bigger company. It's like, I guess you can sell off your secondaries when you need to or whatever. But it's like, aside from that, right, it takes a little bit more hassle. Otherwise, like, you could, because the alternative is an all cash acquisition and you just sit back and then watch the ACH transfer hit the bank and then clear, right? Otherwise, I have to wait till the next, Series A, B, C, whatever, and then wait for an interested investor and then see if like the company's right of repurchase is going to kick in. And if it does, and they buy it. And if it doesn't, then some other investor buys it as a secondary. It's like, okay, who wants to deal with any of that? Nobody. I want an all cash acquisition. You know what I mean? Just as a philosophy. And so I guess Convogo, I mean, yeah, it's cool. OpenAI acquired us. Yay. But it's like, okay, where's the cash? Yeah. All right. It's Friday, folks. Hope you have a really good Friday. Hope you get some sun. Hopefully there's sun where you're at. Make sure to go outside. Make sure you make lots of money today in the stock market. Make sure to minimize any losses. Of course, you can do that with Byte AI market analysis off the App Store that tells you when you should enter and exit the market for any stock in your portfolio. So I guess I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good one. Peace.